Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Good morning, Harold. Thank you for tuning in so much. Let's see. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Sterling. Thank you for putting in all the news, and I hope you recover. And the limited earnings, I hope you recover from your jiu-jitsu training quickly. Taking up some martial arts. What else do we have? Good morning, Daniel. Oh, that's the news rolling by. Good morning, Royal Palms. We'll wait for some other people to come in here. So let's see. Lots of people in the background. Come on, jump in the chat if you're not in there already. But good morning, John. There we go. All right. What do we have going on? A day before Fed meeting. We did trigger a couple bottoming patterns yesterday, and those are short-term bounce patterns only. They are against the rotation zones. And remember, roll to June if you have not already. Roll if you're trading the futures, whatever those may be, the micros, the minis, roll to June for S&P, NASDAQ. So it's roll day. Rolling. Keep them doggies rolling. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Ted. Well, there we go. Good morning, Ted. Hello, Charles. Good morning, David. Just in time to hear me sing Rawhide. All right, which nobody wants to hear. Let's see. We had building permits coming out this morning. Interesting export prices coming out month over month. A climbing consensus was for them to drop and them bouncing up slightly, and import prices bouncing up bouncing up also. So let's see if that keeps sticking inflationary. The Limp Bizkit roll. Limp Bizkit. Did they sing Rawhide? Did they do a version of Rawhide? I would have never heard it. Amazon undercuts NVIDIA with aggressive AI chip discounts. Can you order? Can I order for next day delivery some NVIDIA GPUs? That would be fun. What else? Fitch ratings. We delay easing until Q4. What do you mean wrong? With tariff shock estimated to add 1 percentage point to near-term inflation. We don't know if that's wrong yet. And we don't know if the Fed will delay their cuts. We don't know what's going to happen yet. Good morning, Jacob. Is anybody else losing audio? How's the audio? If it's fine, please type it in the chat. I don't see anything off here. Let me just look. Let's look at all my settings. Let me look at all my settings. It looks like that's correct. Let me know if we're getting any audio delays, please, or anything else, because it looks like everything's set up on my. I did have a camera. It's intermittent from you, David. But I need some feedback from other people, too. I did have a fuzzy camera that I fixed earlier today, but that didn't. John says it's fine. Audio's fine. Royal Palm says it's going in and out. So some people are fine. Some people are going in and out. Fine for you. All right. Well, it looks like it's fine on my end. If I'm on the right everything, I don't know. I don't want to get hung up here because we won't get through the. Just check my audio monitor. One second. I'm just looking at everything. Not seeing anything that's off. So, hopefully it might just be an intermittent issue. You cannot order NVIDIA GPUs on Amazon. My strategy is blown. My AI trading model is blown. Twitter is fine as well. Thank you, Patrick. Hope you come back, David. Good morning, Rangers. All right. Rest of today, there isn't much. We have some capacity utilization numbers coming out very shortly. Manufacturing production, and then that's it. Remember, everything's going to be based off tomorrow with the Fed meeting. The Fed, they're going to pause, but what are they going to do? Now, so far this morning, we're getting a little pullback, especially in the mega caps, after triggering double bottom patterns yesterday. Let me just refresh this. Leading basic materials and energy, gold keeps marching higher. Technology and consumer cyclical, pulling back. Fed watch, still, again, it's a lock for tomorrow for a pause. But it still has a cut in June and then a cut in September. So only 2 cuts priced in at this point. Fear and greed trying to get back to fear mode. Schiller PE, 35.50 roughly. And your Euphorameter at decent sized drop in that, but barely any drop in the overall market. This is just a drop. Everybody says this correction is over, it's everything else. We've barely even dropped. Just keep that in mind. That does not mean you can get major rallies, but this market's got to do some heavy lifting to really start getting everything going again. Good morning, PMG. All right, you're good now, David? I'm glad. All right, good morning, Anissa. Did I get everybody? Yeah. All right. So, in terms of earnings, nothing. There is just nothing, even after the close. I mean, there's some companies reporting, but nothing's just really going to move stuff. And Sterling put in some other earnings earlier, like XPeng and things. And tomorrow morning, the only thing I'll look at Williams-Sonoma just for the higher end consumer to see if they're cutting back at all based off, especially their guidance, and General Mills. As General Mills is a stock I'm really interested in overall. And that's really it until Thursday afternoon. Now, let's get into bread and butter. Remember, if you were trading March, you got to roll and make sure. I don't talk about this all the time, but make sure. Here's the pattern. Here's the double bottom on the March contract. Make sure you're doing your setups on the contract to make sure your levels come out where you need them to. Do the analysis on the contract you're using. Back to this. This is a continuous contract. So this is set up for the continuous contract. Now, based off the little mini double that triggered yesterday, remember this pullback at all does not phase me. Key area I'm watching, very key support is coming in between about 56.90 to about 56.80. That's the very key support area I'm watching on any pullback. So far, it's just a little mini flagging pattern. You can see that right here. Just a little mini pullback flag after triggering the double. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on, and I'm really watching this 4-hour rotation zone for key support coming in today. The key breakout point is still the trigger pattern for the resumption of the move up is right around 57.25. Okay, overall in the bigger picture, remember we still have more targets below for the massive weekly double top pattern. We are against the rotation zone, but again, if we run up, I'll really be paying attention closer to the rotations, top of the rotation zone and the second target. Okay, just remember this because we've already triggered a massive topping pattern and we are against the rotation zone. So do not, well, you can make your targets wherever you want, but I wouldn't be making targets of new all-time highs. It's got some heavy lifting to do to get up there. So you're definitely going to want to, if you're trying to catch a bounce, you're going to definitely want to be raising a stop and knowing where to take some partial profits. Okay, the thing that would trigger this back to where I'd no longer be watching for a rollover play is it's got to get any rally's got to sustain and close above 59.75. Long way off from there. Because if you even look, the 200's in the way, the prior major support becoming resistance is in the way, even the 50 EMA is in the way. So, realistically, we can have rollovers long before we get a sustained move up. NASDAQ, here's your March contract, your June contract, sorry. We rolled from March to June. Same thing, triggered here. Targets 20,300, 20,455, 20,612. I'd be bumping that down, though, being on the other side of the rotation zone. In the short term, same difference here, same little flagging pullback, and we have very key support coming in right here. right around 19,850. Very key support. What would invalidate the pattern? I'll have to jump back to the S&P because I did not list that off. But again, if this pattern were to be invalidated, it would have to close above 19,000, below 19,588.25 or trade through 19,507. So we're nowhere near invalidating a pattern on this pullback. And for the S&P, we just list off those numbers. The invalidation point is down at 56.2250 on a closing basis or below 56.0150 on an intraday trade through basis. So again, this kind of pullback does not bother me. Also, this is a short-term bottoming pattern. What else? The Dow, which did not have, it just had a little percent B buy. So this would be aggressively trailing in that. And we're coming into a major resistance zone. If it plows through, it has to get above this 42,440 area. And then the next key target, let me lower this. The next key target is right around the 200 area in the top of the rotation zone. So I'd just be using harmonics, by the way, if you're trading the Dow. Here's the way I'm looking because it's already triggered the percent B buy. So I use the harmonics and the 4-hour rotation zone. So I'm watching between this 41,885 to 42,052 with the rotation zone to hold support. If we start closing below 41,885, I'm going to watch for the bigger pullback to the 50% harmonic. The Russell, again, a little percent B buy on Friday. That's the only thing it traded up against key resistance yesterday and pausing. Remember, the Russell roll isn't till probably tomorrow. So Russell roll will be tomorrow. It's technically volume based. If anything, I'll just be rolling tomorrow anyways, because it's going to be close enough. That's the technical roll. When the volume, by the way, if you want to know what technically the trigger is, it's when the volume of the next contract eclipses the volume of the front month. So VIXY coming back down, closing below the rotation zone. Now 20 is going to be very key support. What was prior very key resistance is coming in to be key support right around 20. So in order to continue to really sustain a rally, I got to get this watching below 20. The DAX. The DAX has moved up again. Now this is not the strongest topping pattern, but if the DAX breaks out, your intermediate levels still are 23,662, 23,817, and your major level is still 24,037, so 24K. You do have a potential topping pattern here. It is very sloppy and lopsided, so it is a lower probability than a traditional double top. Notes, there's nothing to talk about here. We're going to be watching this going into tomorrow to see if this double top does trigger. The yield, which has confirmed a double bottom but not yet triggered it, moving sideways. Still keeping an eye on that, especially tomorrow. Dollar index. We do have a potential double bottom with waning momentum and divergences down here. Okay? So that's what I'm keeping an eye on going into tomorrow also. Now, the trend is still technically down, so the only thing that gets me excited is if the double triggers. And in the short term, I'll be watching this. I'll be watching to see if it can follow through on a shorter term basis, a 1 hour, 4 hour basis, if we get a close above 103.40. 103.40 is key for me. Crude has confirmed the double bottom. It's confirmed this double bottom. Confirmed it actually Sunday night, and now's reconfirmed it and triggered on a 4 hour, but now I need to follow through on the daily because it's against the rotation zone. The ceasefire is over also between Israel and Hamas. So let's see if that puts any upward pressure on this. That's the only thing that makes me short-term bullish if this follows through. And it's got to, for me, when this happens right here, it's got to also close above the 21 EMA. Gold continues to march higher. Remember, next key target, 33,063, then 3,086. So that's my next target cluster. Next target cluster, and gold's going absolutely vertical again after the reconnection. Remember, this did not put in a major topping pattern. We had a minor topping pattern that never triggered, but the trend was still up, holding the weekly rotation zone. Now, we start getting up to some of these levels and still are forming divergences. We could be getting triple divergences up here, so I will be more aggressively looking to trail any gold positions. The yen, trying to now, we're shifting above. Going to be watching where it closes today, but shifting above the rotation zone. So this could be shifting to neutral mode, where I'll start to be more aggressively watching for pullback patterns and then a possible shift in the trend in the short term. Yen, however, is on the bigger term trading right at a very key level. It's got to prove itself. So might be shifting there in the yen. The euro has a potential double top, just as a dollar index has a potential double bottom. So I'm going to be watching for that to potentially trigger. Not today, but tomorrow, if depending on the Fed meeting. Now remember, just because you have a potential, I would not be, I'll look at the harmonics, but this would not be when I'd be aggressively front running again. It's against the rotation zone. Spiders, also, yesterday triggering the mini double bottom area and virtually coming up. The first target was 570.02, roughly 570, hitting 569.71. Based off the fact that this is against the rotation zone, I would, if you were trading this, I would be raising the stop a bit early. And the stop level now for those on a closing basis would be 557.19, or an intraday trade basis 554.69. That would be the farthest away. That doesn't mean you have to have the stop there. It all means based off reward to risk, how you're trading a double. You know, Sterling trades it. Sterling trades them slightly different than I do. So it all matters on your own reward to risk, your entry patterns, and how you're trading the targets, where your stop's going to be. But the invalidation point is technically down at 557.19 on a closing basis. All right. Continuing, and I'd really be focusing on this 572.98. Now, today we're gapping down slightly, so the first target to the upside would be 567.15 again, then a retest at 570.02, then 573.05. On any pullback, we roughly have about 564 is first level key support, then 562.20. The Qs also. Now, this is one that did not get close enough to the first target, so I would not be raising a stop on the Qs yet, from my personal perspective. Slight gap down, 479.50. First play, the upside would be for the gap fill to 482.77. Then yesterday's high, and then 488, roughly 488 for the first target. Second target is 491.60. Final target is just on the other side of the 200, so I'd be bringing in the final target to about 493.50. The actual final target is 495.11. All right, so that's where that sits. Bitcoin still trading in this minor range. Bitcoin still not closing above the rotation zone and holding below the key, very key resistance level. So it's got to regain this 84,200 on a closing basis. And then I'll be watching, if it does, watching out reacting to rotation zone. Other than that, the trend is still technically down. And remember, we've only hit the first, on the massive weekly double top pattern, we've only hit the first target. Good morning, Christoph. So my more favorable for ES to retest major support 56.85 area. overall, reach 56.85. Major support, I mean, I don't mind a pullback there to this 56.90, this little flagging area. I don't mind a pullback here at all. 56.85, that's a that's a very decent support level. You see coming in right between the rotation zone on the 4-hour. It still can pull back on this channel flagging area. That was an area that we topped out before breaking through and triggering the double. So I'd be watching for that to be a little key support area, Christoph. All right, what else do we have? Tesla still trending down. The only thing this is based off where it's going to open is probably going to set up a potential sloppy double pattern. But remember, the magnet price is still over the next few weeks, 182.52. Nothing changes yet. Nothing changes. So, what else? Not much to talk about with NVIDIA. Not much to talk about. Oh, there is this that did confirm it but did not trigger it. You had a little mini double top, and that's now into off the table. Remember, the gap confirmed it, but there was no close below it. It actually closed back above the invalidation point. All right, let's see. Let's just peek at the S&P going into the open. Again, nothing's really changed here. Watching again for that pullback into some key support areas, and then seeing how it's going to react there for a potential move back up based off the opening price. But we could turn into, this doesn't have to be a trend day today. There's not much news coming out, and we have the Fed meeting tomorrow. So we could be in the back and forth, more swingy nature today. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Later being tomorrow. I hope everyone has a wonderful trading day. Bye for now.